All right. What's going on, guys? So today I want to talk to you a little bit about how we used 80/20 aluminum extrusion to frame out the interior of our van. So I started with the bed frame, and how I wanted to do that was I wanted to make sure that we had plenty of headroom when we sat up in the bed. We plan on going with a 6 to 8 inch bed, so luckily for us, by the time that we set the aluminum pieces in the van from side to side, it actually worked out to where the aluminum could be laid on top of the cross beams on the walls. So this allowed the cross beams to actually support the weight without bolts having to hold the entirety of the weight. So with the cross beams holding the weight and us using bolts to keep them from sliding and moving around, we felt that this was the best possible solution for a longer lasting and more safe framing setup. So what I basically ended up doing is, once I got everything lined up and I got my 90-degree friction plates into place and lined up with the metal on the walls of the van, I took a drill bit and punched one hole, and then I slipped a bolt with a washer through the bottom end of it and put a washer and a lock nut on the top. So by using a lock nut, this ensures that with any vibrations or any bumps on the road, that we for sure have a secure bolt that will not rattle loose over time. Now, if I had to do this over again, I would possibly go with something like a riv nut, so that way this could be removed at a later time a lot easier. It was kind of a pain to get a wrench up in place while I'm trying to bolt this from the top. A lot of those spots were really hard to get to, and I actually cut my fingers a few times. So if you want to go with something like riv nuts, I think that would probably be a better solution than what I did. So for this front crossbeam that we ran for the bed, we actually did this in 2 different pieces. The first piece was a longer piece stretching from the other side all the way to here, and this has a smooth facing front, so that way it has a cleaner look and it will be seen more. The one that's closer to the wall will actually be using to bolt in our counter later and to help support it to the actual bed frame as well. We added the support beam to support the weight between these 2 joints, as well as this is the perfect distance for us to eventually fit our water tank between the wall and our framing here. So this kind of all keeps it locked in place, and it's easier to strap down like that. So the cabinets worked about the same way. There is a framing shelf on the side of the wall van running along right here all the way down. This normally had like a wire loom or something like that running all the way back to go to your rear view camera and stuff like that. So basically your bottom pieces of aluminum here are resting on that shelf, and then I bolted in just the same way that the bed is resting on the sidewall frames and then bolted into there. So that way the majority of the weight is actually resting on the shelf support of the van, and then the bolts are keeping this from sliding back and forth. So with the top beams here, to help support the weight that's actually pulling down, when you have a lot of weight here in the front part of the cabinet, these actually have holes drilled into the ribs that run along the top part of the roof of the van here. So I punched a small hole, and then I slipped a small bolt through one of the holes and let it fall down through that one. Now by doing so, I was able to get another small wrench up in there, pin that bolt in place while I ran a lock nut up tight on these, and that helped these get secured in place. Now this is a very tedious process and definitely caused a lot of headache, and if I had to do it again, like I said, I would have gone with some riv nuts, smacked some riv nuts in there and just used a bolt with some Loctite or something like that. Okay, so for the dresser, we kept the beams going all the way to the roof. We didn't want to bolt those into the roof because I didn't feel like it needed that much integrity. And this would give us a cleaner flush, so when we put in our wood paneling, we'll run that to go flush with the roof and the walls. The cross members going from these front beams to the wall are bolted in just the same that we did the cabinet. So that prevents any weight being thrown this way and ripping the dresser out from the wall. So with the cabinet, this is going to be a light duty cabinet. I didn't feel like we needed to add any sort of beam going to the ceiling. So even though it can move a little bit with a good deal of weight, we plan on just having small things like toothpaste, maybe some cooking utensils, bathroom products, small things like that. So I think this was plenty enough by bolting it to the frame here and bolting it in here to the dresser to support any of that weight. So with the rear crossbeam, the reason why I couldn't get it closer to the doors was because this was the flattest spot I could get before the rear support beam on the wall started curving up. So that was going to cause my beam to tilt, and I wanted it as flat as possible. So what I did was I bolted it as close as I could to the rear doors, and then I made this little extension piece so that way I can add a board here later, so that prevents anything from falling behind into the garage area, and we can slide the bed all the way to this point here. Hey guys, so I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found this informative on how we mounted 80-20 aluminum in the van. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those below. And if you like this video, give it a like. You know, subscribe if you want to keep seeing what we're doing and how we're doing our build. And appreciate all the support, guys. Thanks.